Okay, so I'm going to start streaming the transmission from June 1st at the conference. So hold on just a moment. I'm going to try and run this. So we start this with the president saying that today from the National Marine in Veracruz, on their agenda,
Hoy día de la Marina Nacional,
they had to have the ceremony
en la agenda
to commemorate the Marines.
La ceremonia en honor a los marinos.
Okay, I'm going to try and match them up.
But se acordó que además
we decided that besides that important act,
para conmemorar
in order to commemorate the Marines
aquí en este histórico puerto de Veracruz,
here in this historical port of Veracruz, that we should talk and inform the people of Mexico over the
pretensión del gobierno de Estados Unidos,
the plan of the United States to impose a levy to the to the products that are produced in Mexico and are exported to the United States. For that reason, today, Saturday, we convened this press in order to announce to the people of Mexico regarding this matter. Because in general, these conferences are done in the city of Mexico at 7 in the morning. After the security cabinet meeting. So today we're doing it here in Veracruz. And it's 9 in the morning. What do I have to inform you, all Mexicans? That now we initiated communication with the government of the United States, and that we are disposed, or they are disposed, from the functionaries of the United States to establish a dialogue and to come to agreements and compromises. And that's one first step, as I would say, that's favorable, good, that there is no closure, that there is no intention to discard the possibility of coming to an agreement so that these tariffs will not be applied or levies to the Mexican products in the United States. Yesterday we sent a committee that was sent headed by Marcelo Ebrard. They are there at the Embassy of Mexico in the USA. And now, and we have established communications, I repeat. We spoke to the assessor of the Bushner from the White House. We spoke via telephone as far as I was advised by Marcelo Ebrard. And we also spoke with the Secretary of State of the U.S., Mike Pompeo. And it's been decided to go have a meeting on Wednesday in Washington.
La delegación estadounidense la va a
The
encabezar
delegate
el secretario de Estado,
of Secretary of State
y la delegación
Pompeo,
mexicana la encabeza Marcelo
and the Mexican delegation will be headed by
Esto
Abreu.
el miércoles,
And this will be
pero
on Wednesday.
desde ayer mismo
But since yesterday,
se han establecido
we have established
se está hablando
contacts,
con funcionarios
and we've been
del
speaking
gobierno
with
de
functionaries
Estados Unidos
of the United
para llegar
States
a esta reunión.
to this reunion. And we consider that the results will be good because there is a favorable ambient in Mexico. In our country, also in the USA. It is convenient for all of us to come to an agreement, that we come to an agreement that these measures not be applied, and that we can help in everything relation with the migration without not attending the causes that are causing this embarrassing situation where many Central Americans, due to necessity and hunger and violence, they have to go walking, to go look for bread, to try to live without fear, without misery. Therefore, we need to, as we have always imposed, programs of development in the Central American countries to help them in their communities so they won't be obligated or forced to migrate. That's the solution. That's the structural solution. That is the most recommended and the most effective and the most human to attend to the causes. But we are also willing to help to comply with the migratory law without violating human rights. I want to comment that we are doing everything that belongs to us. We just need to take into account that this migration influx had not been seen in previous times, because it's a very serious crisis in Central America. And that is why that so much of the crisis has grown, migration. But we're talking about thousands of people that are leaving, that are looking for very better situations for life. That's why we're trying to opt for the dialogue, not to accept any confrontation. Nothing will be by force. Everything will be due to reason, justice, and rights. That's what I can inform you. Now, if you would like, we'll open the floor for questions and responses regarding this matter.
Hola, buenos días, presidente. Gaspar Vela, de Grupo Radio Centro. Tres preguntas. La primera, ¿quiénes integran la delegación mexicana que viajó a Washington, que cabeza Marcelo Ebrard? ¿Quiénes ya están allá? La segunda, ¿usted en algún momento contemplaría también viajar a Washington en algún momento de estas negociaciones o de esta cumbre? Y la tercera, ¿en qué porcentaje ha crecido el flujo migratorio en lo que va de su administración con relación al sexenio pasado de Enrique Peña Nieto?
Bueno, la encabeza la misión Marcelo Ebrard, la integra la secretaria
Ebrard
de
is the one
Economía,
who's handling it.
Márquez,
Economy Secretary Graciela Márquez,
para el tema del tratado,
the negotiator for the theme
también
Sociedad.
está participando el jefe de
Additionally,
la oficina de la presidencia, Alfonso Romo, y la encabeza
the chief of the police,
el
Alfonso
secretario
Romo,
de Relaciones, repito, Marcelo Ebrard. Desde luego
and
se
it's
cuenta
headed
con
by
la experiencia,
the
la
Secretary of Relations,
participación
Marcelo Ebrard.
de una,
But of
va a
course,
haber
we're counting with the
afectación
experience of
a
and the participation
Es
of
la medida que se tiene implementada en
a very good
con
diplomat.
Estados Unidos ni con ningún
Oh my
país
gosh, I'm sorry, I
puesto
messed it up
ante
here.
cualquier
I
a
accidentally hit the
México
wrong thing.
que no se afecte, que no se
The group that is in Washington
empobrezca más a nuestro pueblo, que sigue en pie el compromiso
already reunited.
de que vamos a mejorar las condiciones de vida y de trabajo de nuestro pueblo,
Oh my
aunque se
gosh,
apliquen
I'm way off.
esas medidas.
Pardon me. Oh, let me stop. Or go back here and I can cut it out later. Okay, so here I would say it was around here. 952.
Se cuenta con la experiencia.
Okay, so which one do I want first? I want this one first, then this one. So this one should be a little bit behind. So I'm going to start this one first.
La participación de
The
una muy buena
participation
diplomática que es nuestra embajadora
of a
en
very good
Washington,
diplomat
Marta Bárcenas.
who is our ambassador in Washington, Marta
Comisión.
Bárcenas,
El grupo
that the
que
commission,
está en Washington
the group
despacha desde nuestra
that is in
embajada.
Washington,
Están ahora mismo reunidos.
is dispatching
acabo
from our own embassy.
de hablar con ellos.
So
Me
right now, they are
han dado
reunited.
un último
I just spoke to them,
reporte. Si hay
and they've given me a last
la
report.
posibilidad de que yo participe, creo que
So
es muy buena
if there's a possibility I
la
can
comisión,
participate,
que son expertos,
It's a very
tienen
good
muy buenas
commission.
relaciones, han estado trabajando
they are
con
experts, they have very good
sus,
relations, they are working
colegas, con sus partes del gobierno
with their colleagues,
de Estados Unidos.
with their counterparts,
Desde hace algún tiempo se conocen,
and the government of the
Ya,
United States.
han tratado
They've known each other for some
otros
time,
temas, de modo que es muy buena la
and
comisión.
they've already
y
had
no
other
hace falta que yo
things they've dealt with.
participe de manera
It's a very good
directa,
commission.
no personal.
It's not necessary
Aunque
for me to participate
estoy pendiente
in the direct
de
form or
este
personal,
asunto.
even though I am
Lo tercero que
cautious
preguntaste es
of this matter.
Sobre
The
el
third
flujo
thing you asked
migratorio,
me-
¿cuánto aumentó? implementado en su sexenio?
Se calcula que con relación al año pasado, al doble de lo que
It's doubled from
pasaba
last year
por México,
during his
porque
term.
se agravó la crisis en Centroamérica.
It's got more egregious,
Gracias, señor
the
presidente.
situation
Arturo, por la imagen.
in Central America.
El proyecto que usted ha planteado de ayudar a Centroamérica con recursos para generar empleos y evitar la migración, ¿se mantiene? ¿Hay alguna modificación? Y sobre todo de parte de los Estados Unidos, usted nos había comentado que observaban de buena manera este planteamiento que usted había hecho. ¿Se cancela? ¿Se retrasa?
Se mantiene.
Y otra pregunta más, señor presidente, el tema de la migración en la frontera sur. Ha habido en algunos momentos apremio de parte de las autoridades mexicanas para poder recibir a toda la gente que viene, para tramitar permisos, visas, etcétera. ¿Cuál es la situación que se vive en esa parte de la frontera?
So basically he's asking if there's things, what are they doing about the migration from the south? And is there any extraordinary measures? Are they going to change their plans? Is there any measures your government is taking to help deal with it or to hold the migrants?
Para atender el problema en
The
la
plan
frontera sur de nuestro país.
To attend to this problem is the south of our border.
Elementos de migración. Contamos
We
con
have
el
more
apoyo de los gobiernos
immigration elements
estatales,
or
de los
agents,
gobiernos municipales,
and we have the cooperation of the state and municipal governments. They are participating.
Las oficinas de atención a niñas, a niños de los estados,
the DIFs,
porque
the for protection of children, because in this sad situation we have to say that many of the migrants are children, and the worst case that's saddening and painful is that many children that are alone, without parents.
Por eso
nobody's to accompany
están
them.
interviniendo las oficinas
And for that reason,
de atención a niños,
the offices are intervening
Chiapas,
to protect the children
mismo, en el
in
estado
Chiapas,
de
Tabasco,
Veracruz, en Oaxaca,
and here in the state
no
of
se les
Veracruz,
puede
in
tener
Oaxaca,
en los albergues
because
donde están los mayores, se les
can't
tiene
hold
que
them
dar
in the
un trato
holding cells where the
especial.
where the adults are.
Sí,
You have to treat them with
estamos
special care.
apoyando,
Yes, we are
acompañando el
supporting
regreso de muchos a sus
to
lugares de
accompany
origen,
them, many back
por tierra,
to their lands of origin,
por avión,
by land, sometimes
atendiendo
by
de manera
plane,
especial a los niños, asistiendo
attending
a
to
los
special
migrantes
attention
con
to the children,
alimentación, con
assisting
médicos,
the immigrants with
con medicinas,
food, medicine, medical
tratándolos
workers,
como se merecen,
treating them
como seres humanos.
the way they deserve to be treated as human beings.
Presidente, buenos días a todos. Guadalupe Vallejo de Notimex. Presidente, preguntarle, ¿en qué basa la confianza de que el diálogo realmente avance cuando hemos visto, la postura que ha tomado el mandatario estadounidense
What do
en
you
este y varios
base
temas?
your confidence that
¿cómo
there is
ve-
actually
cómo
an
ve esto?
advancement in the communication,
Yo tengo confianza
since we have seen what
en que
Trump has
se
been
va a
saying?
llegar a un acuerdo
I do have confidence
porque nos asiste
that we
la
will come
razón.
to an agreement because
Y
reason
creo
assists us. And I believe that we will be helped very much by that Mexicans are united or will be united that there be in these moments national unity. That all, even with our differences, political and religious beliefs and all, that we defend Mexico, because our country does not deserve to be treated in that way. We consider it to be injustice. We respect the sovereign right, the authorities of the U.S. to do measures in their territory. However, there should always exist cooperation between countries and people, and overall fraternity, universal fraternity. That is why there is there's companies or groups that will help with the controversies, commercial, economical, political controversies between nations. You can go to international agencies, and we think that it will not be necessary, that we will gain through dialogue a agreement, and we will not have to go to legal recourses. We want to maintain a good relation with the U.S. government. So are we? Something about immigration and politics. Our politics for foreign and migratory is already set in place. All we want is that they attend the causes, that they assist in development, that they're not to try to take measures using force. That is not the road to take. That posturing is what we're sustaining, and at the same time making the compromise to apply our laws for migration without violating the rights of humans or human rights. So we're starting on the left, and we'll end on the left. Okay. So are you going to go to tribunals if they continue with these levies? So what did they talk about in these talks with Kushner? What did they detail? We have not taken any decision over our rights to go to international companies. We have we understand we have that right, but we're betting for dialogue and to come to an agreement with compromising. That is the principal thing. We are not in a plan to threaten. We believe in dialogue and in politics. the politic that is also known as negotiation, to make history, the art of governing. It's the best invention to avoid war, but also the politic is to negotiate, and of course dialogue. That is our posture. The important thing about the calls first, they attended to the petition to dialogue. And that was very important. And not to give that it be done quickly. And it could not be done before Wednesday, because Pompeo and Kushner both are out on missions in other places of the world. And I believe they're talking to their helpers, their accessory, ancillary staff, so they can have all the data compiled because one of the important things in this dialogue to count on information that's objective, that's you can demonstrate. We've made a great effort in attending to this matter. And Marcelo Ebrard has instructions to demonstrate what has been done in this matter, so that they realize that we haven't been there without our arms crossed and that it's not important to us. We don't look at it as a problem of just the US and Central America, but we happen to be in the middle. But even so, we aren't blaming anybody else. We're trying to help to resolve this problem. So it was very good that they accept the dialogue. And then we go with this meeting on Wednesday. The good thing is they attended to our requests for dialogue and communication. So this was good. So they didn't close the doors. The government of the United States is disposed to dialogue. So one more on this side, and then we go to the other side. So they've asked if he had communicated with other countries' heads of state. He says no. No, but I do consider that Mexico always has the backing or support from the world lands or governments because of its history and diplomatic policy or politics. It has very much prestige on a world level. and Mexico has recovered its place in United Nations for Latin America. Like we said for many years, we're like a big brother. So we feel that we've had lots of recognition. But the most important thing is the solidarity that is expressed in the country, in our country. And is also now being expressed in the U.S. by Mexicans that live in U.S. Around 24 million of Mexicans. As also by United States citizens that have always maintained a very good relationship with the Mexicans. So therefore, there's a whole movement that initiates favorable in defense of Mexico. Here in our country, this movement is it's going to be growing all the time more with plural participation, with lots of expression, ample expression, where they are expressing their support. Field workers, professionals, business owners from every sector, of every social class, of every religion. This unites Mexico because the country is first. And also in the case of the U.S., they have the same attitude of backing Mexico, of Mexicans, the ones that work and live in the U.S., and also millions of United States citizens. That they want a good relationship with Mexico. They want the good relations to continue in all areas regarding economics, commercial, social, cultural. These things I can say to you that gives us so much security that we think that you can't at this start begin a campaign against Mexico. There's new conditions, there's different conditions. But if they did that before, they took a campaign against of that nature, now it would not function because there's too much unity, national unity. Then also other governments are in favor of Mexico, and so also in the U.S. many American citizens are in favor of Mexico, and the Mexicans that work over there as United States citizens. I cannot, due to respect to the sovereignty of that country, get involved in the internal life to their political decisions they take. But the newspapers in the United States, I am attentive to the information regarding this topic in the U.S. What they seem to have an opinion regarding this topic. I can see that there's a lot of solidarity with Mexico. Another question. So he said 10th of June so they could start. What happens if he actually takes that measure? And what are we going to implement in our country? So are we going to do anything to make it harder for them to enter from other countries? So what are the measures you took to prevent it? First, let me say to all Mexicans to have confidence, faith. We will not be affected to our economy of the people, to popular economy. In the case, if they were applied, we already have a plan. To guarantee that you will not be affected, so that you will not be impoverished more for our people. I am still keeping on foot my commitment that we are going to better the situation of living conditions and work for our people, even if they were to do that. But even if they did do that, we're still converting Mexico into a power of social strength, so there won't be fear, uncertainty. Mexico is a country with so much potential, economical, many riches, with a people that is hard workers. And I'm not trying to say anything to boast, but we're counting with a good government. We've always had riches. We've always had a good working people. But we needed the third thing, a good government. So now, confronting any adversity that happens, we will continue with our fourth transformation that will be applied to our country. But I want to say to you that we are doing everything so that with dialogue, we can gain an agreement. We will not enter into a commercial war, a war of tariffs and levies. That will not happen. We do not want that confrontation with the United States, nor with any country. We are going on the route of dialogue. And if we had to, we would go to the international tribunals. And we've considered it. The Treaty of a Free Trade Agreement as they had agreed in the international commerce rules. We will continue to propel our economy to be able to confront any circumstance. There are no risks. It would not produce a crisis of any type. Not even. We have an hacienda, a public hacienda, that's strong. We've gained a lot of funds. We've saved a lot of money. We have reserves sufficient in dollars, in pesos. We have a solid economy. But the most important thing of all is that we count with the support of the people, and we will come out of this, come out ahead. And we've already made a plan to deal with the migrational phenomenon that's giving us very good results. Regarding this plan, on Wednesday they will inform regarding that plan, so that they will know in the U.S. that we are doing what corresponds to us. She wants to know if he'll amplify regarding the plan they have, in case they did not, if they went through with their threat. He says, we're going to leave it as a remote possibility. I'm optimistic. I think we will resolve it, this difference, quickly. Even though we're working on it, on options and alternatives, because that is our obligation. We are not going to talk about that. We'll maintain only as a possibility. What we want to highlight now one, dialogue to come to an agreement not to apply tariffs and levies. Number two, if it comes to that, go to international tribunals. And a plan to propel our economy and to resist these decisions of the United States. I don't believe we'll go to that point. However, we are prepared for that. Is there a risk for the ratification of TMEC? He says, I'm sure we're going through with a treaty. Thursday in the morning, all the information regarding the ratification of the treaty, I had thought that we would obtain a majority in the Senate, because you don't require an absolute majority, just a simple majority. And I was clear that we would have the majority, but now I am more sure that we will have an ample majority, very ample majority in the ratification of the treaty. And I believe that legislators of all the parties they're going to vote in favor of the ratification. So how many are staying, and how much is costing to the to the Mexican people to have all these people migrate? So we're going to make a official information to the U.S. We do not want to give information before they give it officially to the U.S. so they can talk about it with what they might have in other countries in the U.S. So we will wait for it to be informed, and then we'll let them know. Couldn't you take this opportunity to go to other countries? We are rich in tradition and culture, and why don't we go to other countries and other markets? That is a profound topic, historical. Foreign policy or politics. The General Porfirio Diaz used to say we should not put all our eggs in one basket. And that you needed to diversify to external areas or foreign areas. That is a deep theme. We are diversifying our relations. But we can't minimize the importance of the relations with the U.S. There's 3,100 kilometers of border. We are related more than ever in this. We've been distant, conflicts, we've had problems. But here, in 1914, the U.S. Navy tried to attack us on this port in Veracruz, and we fought in an heroic manner. We've had those times of confrontation. At that time, it was Wilson that was the president. That afterwards had a relevant paper to make peace in the world. He was the precursor of what is now known as the United Nations. Relations with the U.S. have not always been good. But now we have better conditions to have a good relations, mutual respect, cooperation for development. And this situation presents itself that is due to circumstances, special circumstances. You know what elections are, right? In all countries, when they have elections here in Veracruz, passions get it's lit up. And in Chihuahua, in Chiapas, in Nuevo León, well, without getting into the personal or internal affairs of the U.S., there's elections in the future, and they have to posture. But all we ask respectfully to stop using us in their pawns, as their pawns in these things, these situations. It's not a political thing that you should utilize a country for electoral purposes. You can't stigmatize anybody. And with all respect, that it will not function, because that treatment will not give you good results. If anybody takes that banner, it will go bad for them. If someone acts in an unjust manner with Mexico, will not be have a good situation. And I can guarantee that, not as president, but as a citizen that is well aware of history of countries. The situation has changed completely. So we're not going to get involved in social in power wars. We are a free, independent, sovereign, and we are very careful. What we want to do is bet to get better relations and to have good relations with all in the world. So 5 more questions, 3 and 2, because he's got to get going on the boat. So there's some internal problems with water and companies that are hoarding and controlling water. And if it would not make us look more attractive to countries if he attended to these things. Of course, if we take care of internal politics, we will be more respected in the exterior or foreign. I've always sustained that the best foreign policy is the internal policy. If there's no corruption in Mexico, we will advance. We will advance very much. In the case of Veracruz, just since you're asking, he's very happy. That they've already initiated programs to benefit the producers. They are already giving money to the to the field workers and property owners. They've guaranteed certain prices for produce. And yesterday, in Coatepec, they initiated to all the producers of coffee. Around 80,000 in Veracruz are going to be getting direct funds from the government. And today, after the ceremony of the Marines, I'm going to go to Yanga to initiate so there's another program that he's going to be going to. There's 600,000 from Veracruz, almost all of them. Out of every 10, 9. And the 10% that are left will also be finishing soon. 600,000. They're already, of the 600,000 of the older adults are already receiving their retirement. Before this number didn't used to get it. It was much more limited. And they used to give them 1,160. So now it's 2,500. Before they didn't used to give to the retirees. So a lot of people come to Veracruz to work, to live after they retire. And they weren't getting any funds. And now those that have retired from the Marines, from Pemex, from electrical companies, they also now have pension. Because it is universal. It's for everyone. And I am happy because Cuitla Garcia is a good governor. A very intelligent working person with convictions and honest. That was very much needed here. Governments that are honest, not ambitious people that would try to get rich and to take the ill-gotten gains. So that's a change. So we have foreign and you're right. If we take care of irregular or bad things from inside, of course there will be more foreign investment. Let me give you an example. They established levies for aluminum and iron, and we got them to drop those levies for aluminum and steel. That was beneficial to Veracruz because this is where we produce steel that we also export. We have gained all these things, and we are being cautious so that we will not allow anything bad to happen with Veracruz. All the Veracruz people that had to migrate due to necessity, that are in the other states, many of them, thousands, and many are in the U.S., or outside of the States. They can return, let them have work. That is the dream I have to convert into reality. One more, and these two. So what are you applying to stop the lowering of the peso or the value? Well, look, the peso resisted. Yeah, it dropped a little bit. A little depreciation. Because it was a strong message. So the dollar was elevated a little, and then it lowered. And there it is. They resisted. I can tell you that it's not as it was before. Than before we took over this government, fortunately. I'm not singing victory. But I don't know for what reason. Some are betting that and hoping that things will not go well, that things will go bad. But I can tell you that I tolerated that abuse of this sting from this arrow or lance. And that it's good news that they're starting these negotiations. And besides the investors, and they know that the economy of Mexico is strong and that it has lots of potential. That is to say that it is going to grow. I've already said it. We will confront any adversity. We will grow into a great power of social dimensions with justice in our country. He says, I'm not going to get into the reason for Trump's tweet. Is it because of the election? He said, I'm not getting into that. Oh, so he's already announced his re-election. He didn't even know. He says, but I'm not going to give my opinion on that. How much more will Mexico have to tolerate while Donald Trump is in his presidency? The most important thing is to inform over what we're doing already. And if it's required to reinforce these measures without violating human rights, we would be willing to do that, to come to an agreement. We consider that we are doing what corresponds to us. And they have a lack of information. They have to take into account the magnitude of the phenomenon, how bad the conflict is, and the situation they're living through in Central America. That is what they have to take into account. Half of the migrants are from brothers from Honduras, and that is what needs to be attended to. And how, with programs for development, that there be work and well-being in the towns of origin. How long are we going to maintain or tolerate Did we give a concrete offering from our government to start to apply pretty quickly a plan of development in Central America to help them grow develop, give them work, figure out a way to help them work, technical assistance. Just in Chiapas, as of today, we are planting 200,000 hectares. And we are paying 800 jornales, or 80,000 are employed here in Veracruz. And here in Veracruz, 60,000 employees from the program Planting Life. That's to initiate something immediately with areas to plant. Lots of trees, fruit trees. And in Honduras, in El Salvador, in Guatemala. With these 1 million hectares, you'll create 400,000 jobs. We can even give the assistance a know-how. Oh, they have the know-how how to do it. But they need to change their focus from trying to do things by force. And I've said many times that nobody leaves their homes because they want to. It's because of necessity. The problem, if we hope that migration would be optional, not by force. That's what we're hoping for, what our plan is. And how long are we going to have a politic that's prudent and thoughtful? Even if we have our hearts hot, we need to have our heads cold. For how long? I can resist a very long time. I'm your countryman, and I am full of passion. but politics is also the equilibrium for peace and reason, or passion and reason. So he says Sereno Moreno. What number was that? I want to save that. So that was 100. How long will it be before Mexicans don't have to leave Mexico anymore for necessity? So is it true that they're using National Guard? They still haven't started to function formally until the 30th. This month they're going to start. So they've exaggerated a little, but with my respect. For the other things, I went to the front or the border 10 to 15 days ago. And I was at Alacandona, Chiapas. I go through the whole country. And we're respectful of human rights. And what else did you ask? How long would you think it'll take for Mexicans to not have to leave? He says about 2 years. And we also have to think of one problem. Because the Mexican workers are the best workers of the world. From where are they going to have workers? Because Mexicans are going to have work here. So I can tell you that only in Oaxaca we have 70 fronts that are open for work. We're making 70 roads with manual labor that they'll be making their own roads with concrete. Men and women. So before they used to leave or have to leave for 6 months or permanent, and they would return for 6 months to plant their fields. Now they can stay and work in their communities, and there's thousands. And I was talking to you of the program Planting Life. This year it's 230,000 employee spots, permanent jobs. And the next year it's 200,000 more. Only the program, just the program of the youth has 400,000 youth that are getting the job. And we're going towards 1 million. And it's growing. The foreign investment, the economy. Here in the case of Oh my gosh. Okay, I gotta stop. Hold on.
Mom's pulling up.
Okay, gotcha.